In my last life, some old lady talked me into it. I spent a fortune on a Brazilian turtle. My in-laws called me a useless spender. They said I only knew how to waste money, not make it, but then, before the heat apocalypse hit, my turtle started changing. It kept spitting out gold coins, helping our whole family survive. Once it fully evolved, it could not only provide clean water, but also change the temperature around us. No matter how hot it got outside, our home stayed cool. I thought we were safe after surviving the heat apocalypse, but my wife secretly made a pact with the turtle behind my back. Then she kicked me out. In the end, I died from the heat. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day I bought the turtle. Handsome, I can tell you're destined for wealth and status. Too bad there's a disaster in your fate. If you survive it, good fortune will follow. I have a way to help you get through it. This turtle was originally 888 art. Now it's only 188 art. I'll sell it to you at a discount. Hearing those familiar words, I realized I had been reborn. I was back before I bought the lucky turtle. With memories from my past life, I paid for it right away. When I got home, just as expected, my wife and in-laws tore into me again. Where's the bird's nest I told you to buy? I wanted bird's nest goji soup today. You useless man! How dare you ignore my mom? Where's the bird's nest she asked for? This time, I learned my lesson. I didn't tell my wife or mother-in-law the truth. Instead, I pulled a shriveled paper ball from another pocket and gave it to her. She didn't know the difference anyway. That paper ball looked pretty close to the bird's nest sold on the market. This is bird's nest? Be honest. Are you trying to scam me? How could bird's nest possibly look like this? After saying that, her chubby hand twisted my arm hard. I looked innocent and said no. This really is bird's nest, and it's the owner's private stash. I figured if it's for you, it had to be the good stuff. I begged him for ages before he finally sold it to me cheaper. At least you know your place. I'm hungry. Go make dinner. After that, I went to the kitchen to cook. But before that, I carefully took out the turtle and put it in a fish tank. In my last life, it was thanks to him that my heartless wife and biased mother-in-law survived the heat. After the apocalypse began, I hid the turtle away. Then I went to cook. 2 days later, my turtle started spitting out gold coins. Looking at the shining gold, I was thrilled. My good days were finally coming. This time, I didn't hesitate. I called a real estate agent. I want to buy a villa in the suburbs. The more remote, the better. Preferably somewhere nobody can find. After that, I exchanged all the gold coins for cash. A full 3 million. After the heat apocalypse arrived, even humans could barely beat mutated animals. The only ones who could protect me were those animals. As the temperature kept rising, the turtle spat out more and more gold coins. So I quickly bought a huge amount of survival supplies. I also hired someone to design a hydro generator, but it would still take a month. To make sure nobody got ideas about my supplies, I adopted a large group of stray cats and dogs. Every day, I would set aside time to feed those fierce beasts myself and build a bond with them. I also fed the cats and dogs around the neighborhood. One day, I was calming down a new tabby cat. I could tell this tabby had already started mutating. It wouldn't be long before it gained intelligence. I placed a plate of fresh meat by the tabby's paws. Then I saw the old bachelor across the hall. He had always had it out for me. In my last life, he kept whispering poison in my wife's ear. That's why I got kicked out and died in the heat. Now that he saw me feeding cats such good meat, he couldn't sit still anymore. You're feeding meat that good to an animal? Are you crazy? You're the crazy one. Oh, talking back now? No wonder your mother-in-law calls you a useless spender. Seriously, you're blind. Feeding meat that good to a cat? Before I could argue back, Jibota walked away. My face instantly went pale. That jerk was going to snitch again. Jibota was my wife's first love. Back then, my mother-in-law refused to let a divorced man marry into their family. That's how I got picked. Sure enough, seeing her old flame crying pitifully in front of her, my wife Lu Ruyan and my in-laws soon came to confront me. My wife kicked over the tabby cat's food bowl. People barely get any decent food. And you think cats deserve it? You useless man, what a waste. Do I have to beat you? Her fists rained down on me. Boda stood beside her, adding fuel to the fire. Exactly. If I were your son-in-law, I would never feed meat that good to animals. I'd use it to honor my in-laws. That hit my mother-in-law right where it mattered. The more she looked at Jibota, the more satisfied she was. But when she looked at me, she only got more annoyed. And the things she said got even nastier. I should have let my daughter marry Boda back then. What good are you? The hatred in my eyes grew stronger. His family wouldn't live much longer. I'd make them pay. After that beating, I became even more careful when feeding strays. Finally, after feeding them day after day, many stray animals grew close to me. Meanwhile, the temperature kept climbing. At first, it was only 86 degrees outside, but even that was too much for the whole family. They barely wanted to step outside. Later, the heat lasted a full week. It just wouldn't drop, and it was still trending upward. That's when everyone realized something was wrong. Then experts came out to analyze it. Earth had entered the age of the heat apocalypse. Researchers discovered that many organisms had begun mutating to different degrees. We firmly believe that once humanity survives this age, human civilization will advance to a higher level. The news encouraged people to respond calmly, but crowds started stockpiling food, causing shortages. Now a pound of grain was worth a pound of gold. Food was running out, and I was one more freeloader at home. My in-laws hated me even more. Even if I did nothing wrong, just cooking in the kitchen would get me yelled at. Then my wife's first love, Jibota, knocked on our door. He had no food left at home. He looked at my wife with those pitiful eyes. My wife let him in without hesitation. Don't worry, come in. We still have plenty of food. Seeing another mouth to feed, my in-laws were unhappy, but they didn't dare tell my wife directly. Instead, they kept signaling me with their eyes to say something. I timidly stepped forward and spoke to my wife. Ruyan, our food won't last through the heat apocalypse. One more person means one more mouth to feed. Even if you don't think about yourself, you should think about your parents. As soon as I finished, she kicked me. You think you can compare to him? Who do you think you are? I let out a cold snort. A chill flashed in my eyes, but I kept my face calm. I followed Jibota inside, pretending I wanted to serve him, but he stopped me. He frowned at me. Right in front of me, the actual husband. He acted like the Lu family's real son-in-law, just to piss me off. Ruyan, your family doesn't have much food. Why keep a freeloader around? And he eats a lot too. If you ask me, this useless spender has no reason to stay. Just kick him out. Hearing that, my wife and in-laws started reconsidering what use I had in this family. It was like I really didn't matter. All I did every day was cook meals. After a moment, cruelty flashed in my in-laws' eyes. My mother-in-law said, "You useless spender, you eat more than you do. This family has no room for you anymore." Just like that, my wife blocked me at the door and wouldn't let me in. She was afraid I'd force my way back in, so she even wanted to break my legs. I looked at the arm-thick stick in her hand and froze, too scared to step forward. My father-in-law looked at me coldly. "You almost harmed my grandson. You deserve to die." Looking at this heartless family, my heart went completely cold. But them kicking me out was exactly what I wanted. Deep down, I was overjoyed. But right then, I had to act completely devastated. Do any of you even have a conscience? I served this whole family for so long. And now you just throw me away? The whole building could hear me crying out. But nobody dared come out and speak up for me. Because things like this were common in the apocalypse, I wasn't the first. With a loud bang, they shut the door without the slightest hesitation. I quickly left the neighborhood. At the entrance, I saw the turtle, already evolved into human form. He gave me